What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of Some Kind of Podcast. This is a podcast where we entertain you by discussing what entertains us. I am your host, Christian, and I'm here with my co-host, Tim.
Hello.
And Cody.
Heyo.
Last week, we talked at length about the newly released Justice League Snyder Cut and the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is now live on YouTube and podcast services around the world. If that sounds entertaining to you, make sure you go back and give that a listen. This week, we will be talking about a few hot topics in the entertainment industry. That includes the latest episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as well as the upcoming 93rd Annual Academy Awards, and who we believe will steal the show. But more on that later. Guys, first off, I want to start off with some what you've been playing and watching. What you guys been up to the past week?
I mean, I'm still just watching Critical Role like a crazy person. I finished campaign 1 and I'm back into campaign 2. I've also been rewatching all of the Godzilla, well, all of them, the 2 newer Godzilla movies and Kong Skull Island, just to get ready for Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
And
homeboy from Letterkenny in one of those ones.
Yeah. He's in the first one. And then I've very loosely been playing Story of Seasons because I picked that up. So
you got that?
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I mean, we could talk about that here in a little bit.
Okay.
It's pretty good though.
Very cool.
So after Cody relentlessly and unabashedly just berated me for months to watch Critical Role, I finally broke down and started Critical Role because I finished Modern Family and I didn't have anything to watch. And I will say that I started with episode 1, which technically isn't really episode 1. Well, episode 1 of campaign 1, which technically isn't episode 1 because when episode 1 airs, they're like 2.5 years into their campaign. But it's a good place to start because they go to a new city and it's all new and stuff. And they do a good job of explaining sort of kind of what happened before they started. It's pretty good. I got really into it the other day. And each episode's like 3 hours long on average. And I watched like 3 episodes in a day. So that was essentially my whole day was watching Critical Role. I took breaks, and even when I watch an episode, I don't typically end up watching the whole episode in one go. I have to pause, every once in a while. But when it gets good, it gets really good. And Matt Mercer is just undisputed DM. Not that I've ever played D&D before, had a DM, but I mean, no one's gonna be able to live up to his stuff.
No,
and I know that
he's god tier.
Yeah, I know Critical Role has been around for a long time, and I'm super behind on this. So this isn't news to anybody that's been watching it or has even heard of Matt Mercer. But yeah, I started watching it. It's really good. Makes you want to play D&D really badly.
Would you recommend it to Christian as I have?
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna rake him over the coals.
You should.
Like you did us to get to watch this show.
Hey.
It definitely sounds like something that's right up my alley and something that I want to watch. It might be something more so like down the line, like this summer, that I dive into.
You think it wouldn't be good because when you discuss it, it's like, okay, well, it's 9 people just kind of sitting around talking, and you think that like, well, that's not very entertaining. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of sitting around talking, but it's really good. And I recommend watching the YouTube video versus the podcast because I felt difficult. It was difficult to get
immersed.
Thank you. Watching, just listening to the podcast, whereas like watching the YouTube videos, and they're all on YouTube, was way more immersive. I was able to get into it and really kind of like it.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's the way that they do their role playing. It's very Like it definitely puts you into it
Yeah.
because they're very
Uh,
emotive.
so that's what I've been watching. When it comes to playing anything, I haven't really had much time to play anything. I sort of kind of started Final Fantasy VI because it was on sale on Steam for like $8. And I was like, I've always wanted to play this. I hear it's the undisputed game. When everyone talks about like the best Final Fantasy, six is always in the conversation. So I wanted to check it out. And this could just be a problem with like modern gaming, but I'm so used to everything auto saving now that I went like an hour and a half without saving because I forgot, and then I died, and then it put me an hour and a half from where I was at, and I was like, I don't want to do all that over again right now. So I kind of stopped playing, but I haven't really been playing much of anything anyway because I've been more reading. Because I found this website called Thrift Books, where you can buy used books and they'll ship it to you. Um, so I bought the entire Game of Thrones series, all 5 books, for $20,
Oh wow.
Okay.
and one of them's hardback.
Oh wow.
Um, so I've been reading A Game of Thrones by George R. Martin because, I mean, the book is always better than the movie or TV show, right?
Mm,
So,
in some cases, yeah. Most cases.
I mean, there's always the example of Jurassic Park, where the book was god awful and the movie was 1,000 times better. But that seems to be the only example anyone ever has of something being better than the actual book. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what I've been playing slash watching slash reading, I guess.
Did you give up on Pendragon?
No. So I said I wanted to set a goal for myself this year to read more. And I've read 6 books so far this year, and it's only almost April. So I've read, I'm kind of like averaging like 2.5 books a month, which is pretty good. Um, but I realized that all the 6 books that I've read, I already have read. So technically, I'm just rereading stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to read something that I've never read before, so I can always pick up Pendragon from where I'm at because I know the next where the storyline kind of progresses. Um, so I took a break because I was like, this is a pretty good stopping point where I am in the series to be able to come back and still not be far enough along to where I don't want to stop, and not be too close to the beginning where I'm not going to pick it back up again.
Right.
Uh, so when the Game of Thrones books came in, I was like, this might be a good time to at least read the first one, and then maybe go back to Pendragon for a little bit. We'll see what happens. By the way, this is weird because you know how like when we were reading it, we were always like, if you only knew, if you only knew.
Yeah.
I've read the first 2 books. That is never said. I'm 2 books in, and that phrase has never been said.
I'm gonna be real. I don't really remember where that came from.
It was from the books, though, was it not?
I don't think it was. I mean, okay. This is super off topic. I'm sorry, Christian. We're just derailing your podcast right now. I'm 90% sure that it was just a Call of Duty clan tag, and me and Ed and you thought it was funny that it was just IYOK, and people were like, "What does that mean?" And we were just giggling to ourselves, like, "If you only knew."
I swear we got it from the book series. I swear it.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong because I barely remember what I did yesterday, so
Yeah.
it's possible, my dude. I guess you
Anyway,
just have to finish them to find out, but
I will, but like I'm 2 books in, and like it's never been said. So unless it gets said at some point, because there's still 8 more books that I have to go through. So it could be in any one of them at any point in
true.
time. I just don't remember. I was like, I swear this was more prominent, but could just be, I had a lot going on back in those
Yeah, I don't
days.
know. It was all happening at the same time.
And I read those books super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read one of them or one or two of them in a day. Not like 2 books in a day. Like I read 1 or 2 of them in the course of a day.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Christian, what have you been watching and playing?
Yeah, so
Sorry.
you're good. I've been burning through my back catalog of games, trying to get ready for the cluster mess that is drop season this June with like 5-6 games coming out.
Yeah.
And so I mean, like Monster Hunter Rise just came out this past Friday. I am planning on picking that up. And I will have stuff to say about that next podcast for kind of like a tentative in review topic.
Cool.
But so yeah, I played Spirit of the North, which is like a cool indie game that I played back on the PlayStation 4. It got a PlayStation 5 release. I thought I was gonna get a free upgrade copy, and I didn't. Like most of the other games that are coming out, like they give, like if you bought on the PS4, they gave you the PS5, and this one didn't do that. That was fine, whatever. I wasn't gonna get it, and then my parents kind of felt bad for me since I'm still stuck at home with an injured knee, so they sent me a care package, and then I guess my mom just like found the game online. They're like, "This looks like something Christian would play," and then like sent me a physical
It was
copy. And I was
right.
like, well, you're not wrong. I did play this, but now since you sent me this one, I kind of want to go through and play it again, so it's not just sitting on a shelf collecting dust. And
Yeah.
it's relatively a short game. You just kind of like follow a fox through like the Arctic wilderness, kind of like, and then you at the end of basically the game leads up to, spoiler alert, or I guess creating the Northern Lights.
Okay.
Well, now
Is
I'm
the
never
short.
gonna play it.
Yeah, like you ever were.
You were gonna play it.
I wasn't.
And so on the train of thought of like kind of I guess more indie games, I also platinumed Little Nightmares 2. And so I was gonna, Cody brought up to me that the first one was actually on sale
For like $4.
yeah, and I don't know, I just didn't want to commit to yet another game, even if it was only like a 5 to 10 hour game, just because I'm still trying to catch up. And then I feel like right at the time I finally catch up, I'm gonna be like already behind, because like I said, in June there's like 3 or 4 games coming out within a couple weeks of each other, and I'm gonna have to pick one. And I don't, yep, anyway, that's future me's problem. Anyway, I also started playing finally Immortals Phoenix Rising. And so on episodes past, we've talked about how you, Tim, and Steven have really enjoyed and both platinumed Immortals Phoenix Rising.
I think Steven has now platinumed it.
You said he has?
I think he has, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think so. And so like highly recommended it. Cody and I picked it up. Cody tried it out a while back, and
I think I'm in the same boat that you're in, but go on.
Okay. And so I still hadn't tried it out until literally like 2 days ago. And so I finally checked it out. It's good. I am enjoying the game, but bit of a background on it. It's made by Ubisoft Montreal, I think. And it's I should have looked this up beforehand, because Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is of course also a Ubisoft game, I think is also made by Montreal. I think.
I don't know.
Sure.
I'd have to double check. Anyway, it feels like this game, some, if not all of the team that worked on that was like, that was really fun. Let's make an animated, somewhat more kid-friendly version of that and go with it. And that's kind of like what happened here. Because like as I started into the game, I started noticing a lot of like nods to like, not trademark, but very recognizable things that you do in Assassin's Creed, like synchronization points.
It was Assassin's Creed Odyssey was made by Ubisoft Quebec.
Okay, so not exactly the same team then. But I think, and if I'm not mistaken, I think on a lot of Ubisoft's games, like the one studio has like the main priority and like control over the game, but then like other studios do a little bit of like the side work on it.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so like starting into this game, it was really cool because I mean, like, you've got like, a little phoenix that follows you around, kind of like the eagle from Assassin's Creed. You've got the like, the big stone statues to unfog the map. Like you have like the big towers where you synchronize in Assassin's Creed. And then like there's even like a stealth attack mechanic where the trophy, funnily enough, is like I think it's like Join the Creed or something is the name of the trophy. And it's like
Yes, it is.
straight up a nod to Assassin's Creed.
Well,
Um,
the most of the menu is like straight from Valhalla.
Yeah, it's very similar. I will say that they did do a really cool, like a lighthearted, um, and humorous like route with the game. Like, you have like the gods kind of bickering in the background, and every single time you interact with the character, it's very much like a, you know, funny interaction. Whereas in Assassin's Creed, it's like, hey, I might end up having to stab this guy in a few seconds. So like it is definitely like a totally different atmosphere while playing this game. And I mean, like I guess like they kind of show that when they released it at launch on like not only PlayStation and Xbox, but also on the Switch. Whereas like, Assassin's Creed games, like I think now there are a few, but like it was always for a long time, it was just console and PC. And it had that like hardcore M rating, and I think this is rated
It's
teen.
teen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's a great game. I think the struggle that I have with it is that it's not, I don't really know what I was like wanting or expecting out of the game, but it's too similar to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I just not too long ago platinumed and played off and on for like 3 months, 100+ hours later. And so it's just a little too similar to like want to dive right back into something that feels kind of like a alternate version of what I just played.
Yeah, that's why I stopped playing. Like I do want to finish it, and I'm actually really interested in the DLC that just came out.
It looks
Um,
really cool.
I forget what it's called, but it's like the more Asian mythology.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the Eastern realm.
Yeah, like I'm really excited to try all of that. You, like like you said, like I picked it up and didn't start it until I finished Valhalla, and I had just put like 150 hours in that game, and then I started playing Phoenix Rising, and like you said, like it's good, it's a lot of fun, but I can't, I don't know, it's yeah, it's too similar, and I can't devote that much time to a game. It feels like I'm just putting more time into Assassin's Creed, so like I need to give it some time to breathe.
Okay. You all are acting like you're gonna offend me with your comments. Like, that's acceptable.
I never like to outwardly
I enjoyed
crap
it.
on a game that I know that someone else thoroughly enjoys. And so
Oh,
like I said, I don't have a problem with the game. The game is good,
Yeah,
like for what it is, and especially if you don't typically play excuse me, Assassin's Creed games, like by all means you should play this game. It's just for me in the current situation. And like I don't even know what Assassin's Creed franchise is gonna do like this year. Like the first DLC isn't even freaking out yet. Like I bought the gold edition of Assassin's Creed Valhalla when it came out, and the first DLC I think is slated to launch at like the end of April. And then I think there's a part two of it that doesn't come out till I guess sometime in the summer. So I mean, with that timeline, I'd be honestly surprised if an Assassin's Creed game even came out this year. Um, but
yeah,
I
I
guess we'll
doubt
see.
we'll get one this year.
But if that ends up happening, and if I decide to like not continue with the game right now, I fully expect myself like come like fall of this year be like, you know what, I really like to play some Assassin's Creed. But like this is a game that's close enough that would scratch that itch and like I'd be totally happy with it.
the next Assassin's Creed game is set to launch in early 2022 and is taking place in medieval Germany.
It's supposed to launch in early 22.
According to this, I mean, it's not from Ubisoft themselves, but everything I'm seeing is saying that it's 2022 and it's supposed to take place in medieval Germany.
I mean, it
Yeah,
might be. It totally might be. I don't think an Assassin's Creed game has ever launched before outside of that fall window, but I mean, it could.
well they I forget which game it was right after, but it was in that, like Syndicate Origins Odyssey, I think, timeline where like they were putting out a game literally it felt like every 6 months, but I mean it was every single year an Assassin's Creed game came out, and
Yes.
it felt way too oversaturated, and their ratings started to dip, because the games felt rushed, and so they made a point to say like, all right, cool, we're taking a year off between games.
Mm-hmm. Which honestly, when I saw, or I guess now that they did that, and since this game is Immortals Phoenix Rising is very fairly similar, I'm wondering why they didn't like put Valhalla out and then in the off year release Phoenix Rising and then do like an every other year thing with them.
I think that would have made more sense considering they also released Watch Dogs. Like Ubisoft played no games when it came to
Yeah,
that next gen
they
launch window.
yeah they put out 3 titles immediately.
Yeah.
Granted, one of the three seems like a mess, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I really feel like what they were trying to do is they were like, let's try and hit all the demographics at once.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and also there, I mean, like even even if all the games were broken, like there wasn't a
They
huge catalog of
were.
next gen games to play at launch. So I mean, like people were still going to pick them up anyway. So I think Ubisoft did play it smart and kind of dominated the market on that. But and I mean, I know what you're saying. Like like Valhalla was broken at parts, but I mean, like it wasn't Cyberpunk broken at launch.
Okay, so interesting thing to that. I'm not going to get too into it because then we'll be here for another hour. Um, I
If you want to tune back to episode 1,
yeah.
Cyberpunk, we went
Look,
all into this.
look. I had more issues and game-breaking bugs with Assassin's Creed than I did Cyberpunk.
You know, and
Other than
it's
the crashing, which granted is really frustrating, it didn't like ruin my save. It didn't prevent me from progressing or anything like that. Whereas Valhalla, I literally couldn't finish the game for a month.
two things on that. My personal experience, I only had one problem with Valhalla, which kind of prohibited me from being able to platinum the game, not finish the game, just platinum the game.
Right.
So I didn't have nearly as many problems as you, and so I think that kind of plays into the like it just kind of varies from person to person. Also, second note, you totally did play Cyberpunk, even though it was a PS4 game on your PlayStation 5, so that probably saved you a lot of headache.
Oh yeah, sure, but like you'd think a PS5 game on a PS5 would perform better.
What?
Valhalla was a PS5 game on a PS5, so it should have performed better in my mind.
It wasn't PS5 when it launched.
Valhalla?
It was PS4.
I got the PS5 game.
Yeah.
The Valhalla came out before PS5
Oh yeah, no,
launched.
I know. I'm just saying that when I got it, I got the PS5 game on the PS5.
I know.
That's all.
And I'm just saying, on the grand scheme of that was your,
Oh yeah, no, it varies from
experience with
person
the
to person.
game.
I'm just saying,
And on the
for
grand
me
scheme,
personally,
if you look at via Twitter, the majority of people experienced a heck of a lot of problems in Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk was like, they took it down off the PlayStation Store,
I'm
which has
not
never happened before.
I'm not defending
Maybe
the
we should
horrible launch of Cyberpunk. I'm just saying, me personally, Valhalla was more broken than Cyberpunk.
Tim
maybe we
brings up a great
agree
point.
to disagree.
Let's move on. All right, we're going to go into the next part of the show, and we're going to call it Metacritic Predictions Check-In. As you may recall, in episode 3, we gave our predictions for what Metacritic scores the movies and video games releasing in 2021 would get. With a few of those titles having just been released and a few more on the horizon, it's time for an update. So, Cody, you have recently picked up Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, which is one of your picks when we did the Metacritic predictions at the beginning of the year. It released on March 23rd. What are your overall impressions of the game? But first, how long have you played it, and just kind of what's your overall opinion of it?
Right. So with Valhalla and I'm just kidding.
I will quit the podcast.
I've quit this podcast 5 times. I don't want to hear it. I've put maybe 4 hours into it so far.
Is it as much of a snooze fest as the trailer made it out to be?
Again, much like my opinion on Valhalla and Cyberpunk, it varies from person to person. If you thought Stardew Valley was a snooze fest,
I did.
then it would absolutely be a snooze fest. Because
I'm not into farming.
that's fine. That's fine.
So I will say though that like by all means of like the way to look at the game, like I always thought Animal Crossing looked hecka boring. And it might have just been I was so bored at the beginning of COVID that like I didn't care, but I was into that game for a long time. And I feel like it's kind of in that same category.
Um, so I thought so too. I'm gonna tell you right now, in the 4 hours that I've played, it is Stardew Valley. The only difference is the visual, and like the fact that it seems to not have combat. But other than that, mechanically speaking, story speaking, it is the exact same game. Like you literally you go to a town to take over your grandfather's farm, which is the same story as Stardew Valley. Uh, and then you have to slowly build up the farm. You have to plant crops. They all, have like, these turnips will grow in 5 days, and they only grow in the spring or whatever. So you have to like deal with the seasons. You have to, chop trees and break rocks and craft and farm. It is a slightly more modern, I don't want to say updated, but modern version of Stardew.
Modern.
Um, it's fun because I enjoyed Stardew and games like that. But like, if you thought Stardew was boring, you will not enjoy Story
Look,
Seasons.
I didn't think it was boring. It's just not for me. It's like baseball. I enjoy playing baseball.
Oh yeah, watching baseball is awful.
Watching baseball is terrible.
It's absolutely
If
awful.
actually farming, I might enjoy it, but I don't want to play farming because that's boring to me.
I'm just saying we can go pick up Farming Simulator. Um,
Hey, my stepdad plays that game, so
um, yeah, it's not like Animal Crossing. Um, I think the reason Animal Crossing worked compared to like this game and the differences is that like with Animal Crossing you could only do so much in a day. Like it was limited to what you could do, so you actually just put the game down. Like
yeah.
the I feel like the draw to that game was
Well,
like,
well, Cody,
well,
did you
look,
put the game down, or were you playing Doctor Who?
after
I'm traveling.
after I played the game legitimately up to the last upgrade on the house. Once I got the last upgrade on the house, I was like, all bets are off. I'm going to do what I want and go nuts with it. So I played the game, quote unquote, legitimately. I paid off my loan the legitimate way, and then I time traveled. Um, but I think that was the big difference where, like for you, Christian, because I know that we all tried Stardew around the same time, and me and Steven were the only ones that kept with it.
Yeah, I'm on board with Tim. I played like an hour or two of that game and I was just
Yeah.
like, I can't do this. This is too bad.
So I think the
I
big
tried because you guys were so into it. I tried.
the biggest difference, I feel like if Animal Crossing had allowed you to just keep going and let you do everything without, like the day night process, and you could just play it and play it and play it and play it and go to sleep and start a new day and just keep going, you would have gotten bored. But the fact that the game was like, ooh, what's going to happen tomorrow? I guess you'll have to actually wait to find out. There was some aspect of like, all right, I'll play tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I
Um,
mean, like even now though, like in the current situation I'm in, where I have all these like games in backlog and games coming out, I haven't had a desire to pick up Animal Crossing in a while.
I
I
Like
would
there's
trade it in, but I bought it virtually.
yeah, I also bought it virtually. Um, I've turned it on in the last. I've turned it on this month. I played it for like 2 weeks. I played every day for about 2 weeks, um, just to mess around with the Mario update,
I forgot about that.
which is pretty cool. I mean, it's still like it doesn't add any more playability to the game. Like I mean, I feel like Animal Crossing is just one of those games. Like once you beat it, you beat it. Like there's no like upgrading your house to like a massive mansion or anything like that.
All right.
Um, but like the Mario items are cool.
Cool.
but I'm done playing it.
So like since you were a fan of Stardew Valley, and since that's the game you're comparing it to a lot, like are you happy with the purchase? Like, are you still enjoying it, and do you think you'll enjoy it for a while longer?
It's only $40. So
It was.
I'm not mad at it. I feel like it's worth that. I don't know that it's not gonna be one of those games where I like constantly play,
Mm-hmm.
but it is nice just to like I'll have Critical Role on in the background and I'll just pick up my Switch and play it here and there, or whatever. Like it's like Stardew Valley. It's just like I can turn my brain off for an hour and just play this little farming game.
Right.
So
Cool.
to that, I think where I picked my score on the Metacritic, I I feel like having played it, it's probably lower than what I picked, but I think what I picked is fair.
Did we
Okay.
have the actual thing yet? Or because
Yeah,
It,
so
it just
I'll
came
move.
out, so we probably still need another week.
Yep, so I'll move in that here. So the agreement we made to make a judgment call on what the game's official score was a week post launch. So the game released on
The
the
23rd?
23rd,
Yeah.
and so the week from launch will be this Tuesday, actually right when this podcast goes live, March 30th. So we'll wait to officially disclose what the final result was on next week's show. But right as of right this moment, Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town is sitting at a meta score of 72. Just for reference, our guesses were Tim at 70, Cody at 79, and me at 75. So we're kind of all
Yeah,
in the
I think
ballpark.
literally all of our scores are fair. Just having played what we have, I think all of those are fair guesses. And I
Yeah.
don't think the meta if it goes up, it's only going to go up like a point. Like I don't think it's going to be a drastic change from that 72.
80 now. I'm just kidding.
So yeah, we'll be able to touch base with that and make the official judgment call on next week's episode, as well as the official call for Monster Hunter Rise, which released this past Friday on March 26th. Like I said before, I have not yet played it, but I will this week, and so I will play enough to give at least a first impression, if not a full review of the game next week's episode. When we'll be doing all the monster things. Right now, it is sitting at an 87 on Metacritic. Our choices were Tim at 82, Cody at 92, and me at 86. So again, none of us are like that far off.
I think I will be. Unless it goes up, I think I'm going to be the furthest for sure. I mean, if I'm at 92, I think
So it's at
you're
87.
going to get the most points out of this.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like you're higher on the high end, and Tim's on the low end.
Like, unless it just gets a crazy surge of positivity in the next, week.
Cut to Cody just spamming. 100%.
100%.
So yeah. So next week's episode, we'll be able to make the official judgment call for the results of and who gets what points on both Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, as well as Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah.
As
So we'll be able
well
to look at
as
that then. The next couple things coming up, really. So these are the only two things, and then it's like nothing for like till summer, as far as our Metacritic predictions go. So Godzilla, which comes out in just a few days, comes out this Wednesday on
Right?
March
Yeah.
31st. Yep.
yes.
And then after that, we've got about a month. At the very end of April, Pokemon Snap releases on April 30th.
Yeah.
But
So
June's gonna be nuts.
yeah, both movies and games. We're gonna have our hands full.
Anyway,
But yeah, so I'm gonna move into the next part. So on the last week's episode, we discussed our first impressions of the new Disney Plus show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And since we all are very interested in where the show is headed and how it'll affect the MCU, I want to introduce the new segment called What the Falcon. Each week, we will discuss the latest happenings of Marvel's latest show and our overall thoughts on kind of where it's headed. So before we go further, full spoilers ahead. We're going to talk at length about what happened in episode 2. So if you haven't watched it yet, either skip ahead in the podcast or come back later. This week, we are talking about episode 2, The Star Spangled Man, which gave us a further look into Captain America's, or the newest iteration of Captain America, John Walker, the terrorist organization Flag Smashers, and a look into the true origin of the infamous super soldier serum that gave Captain America his abilities. So I want to start off kind of where the episode started, by giving kind of a behind the curtain look at this new guy who, let's face it, he's probably going to be a bad guy at some point. John Walker. So the newly appointed Captain America, often referred to as U.S. Agent or Super Patriot in the comics. So that at the beginning of the episode, it touched on how this guy has amazing record serving in the United States military, top of his class, very smart, had like 3 Medal of Honors, and is extremely physically fit, about as best you can be without being an actual super soldier.
Oh, so he's not,
No.
No, he's just a regular guy.
because he was doing some super soldier like stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he can catch the shield and all that good stuff, and he's very nimble. But yeah, he doesn't have the serum.
So yeah, and then it kind of transitioned there at the beginning of the episode where John Walker and his buddy, what was the official like name that they gave his like partner in crime?
I've
Can't
already
remember.
forgotten. It was
It's a Blaster Star.
something stupid like that. Yeah,
Battlestar.
Battlestar.
Battlestar. Okay, there we go.
Immediately I thought like Galactica.
yeah. That was my first. Yeah,
So the two of them kind of crash in on Bucky and Sam, trying to go after the Flag Smashers and try to team up. And basically, they both want to have like nothing to do with them. They want them to, like F off and go the heck away. What do you guys think about this? Do you think this is like in that moment, Sam seemed almost willing to give it a shot until he made the whole like wingman comment, and then he was like, no, I'm out of here too.
yeah.
I mean, it's gonna go one of two ways. Either they're gonna put aside their differences and work together, or John Walker is gonna be an agent of Hydra or something like that. Just because, I mean, let's put it this way. I think it's going to be the latter, where like he ends up being a bad guy, because I don't think they're having this dude be Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward.
No,
I really think that that's reserved for Sam Wilson, and I still feel like this whole arc is about him accepting the responsibility of being Captain America. So somehow or another, Sam Wilson's getting his hands on that shield again, because they keep bringing it up.
Mm-hmm.
So even in this episode, that's all Bucky wants to do is go and get the shield.
Yeah.
So I think it I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I understand why, like they kind of went that route, but it's just like, so I like the first episode of Falcon Winter Soldier. I hated this episode.
Really?
oh wow.
Yeah. I felt like it was just like, besides the buddy cop stuff between Falcon and Winter Soldier, like it was just kind of like, what are you guys trying to do with this show? Like, you introduced this weird new Captain America that like isn't a super soldier, but like can still kind of do super soldier stuff, and your only like really explanation of is like, well, he's just really good. And then I'm sure I'll talk about here in a second, but there's that weird out of place, no reason to really be there, made no sense scene with a therapist
Yeah,
that went on entirely too long. It was just kind of like, what are you guys trying to do here? I feel like you had a lot of good things set up in the first episode, and then you kind of just veered left. I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, so I mean, like they definitely are. They still have a lot of stuff kind of up in the air, and they're kind of hinting at like some things might be going on, some things might not. And I think they're trying to do the typical Marvel thing about just trying to make sure that nobody's able to catch on to like where they're headed.
Maybe, I don't know. And this is only supposed to be 6 episodes, so like you only have 4 left.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you doing? You got to have some resemblance of where you want to go. You only have 4 episodes left,
right? And so kind of like you were saying, like I think that John Walker is definitely going to go more of the potential villain route, or at least some version of it. He's not going to be like the top of the notch public opinion Captain America guy for long. Like something's going to happen, and kind of what maybe like lean that way even more so was when after John Walker comes in and bails Bucky out for skipping his therapy session. Afterwards, he was like, "All right, guys, we need to team up," and they kind of finally come to the conclusion that like it's not going to happen. And then John Walker was like, "Okay, well, if we're not going to team up, you guys need to stay out of my way." And then he gave this like really weird look, and I'm like, that's like a serial killer look right there. Like this guy is nuts.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
when I say hate, that's a very strong word. I just it the stuff that was good.
right.
Like the stuff that was bad made no sense to
You're
me.
good.
It's fair.
So the part of the episode that I found the most intriguing and world building was the part containing Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah, they do
Um,
deal with a lot of I know you're gonna mention it here, but a lot of social injustice in this episode.
right, yeah. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how the series handles it going forward. But so Isaiah Bradley, just as a bit of a background, is a character pulled from the comic series Truth, Red, White, and Black, which was a 7-part miniseries released back in 2003 by Marvel. It was a story about the U.S. government's attempts to complete the Nazi Germany's, aka Hydra, super soldiers program by re-engineering the lost super soldier formula that turned Steve Rogers into Captain America through the murder of and forced experimentation on over 300 African American army soldiers. So Isaiah was allegedly, I guess, like the sole survivor of that whole thing. And so like when they went into his house, and Bucky and Sam went in there and started like conversing with this guy, he started kind of beating around the bush and like hinting at things that kind of happened in their past. And so apparently in MCU at least, Isaiah was the second allegedly Captain America that no one knew about, including most of the Avengers, as you saw when they were leaving Isaiah's house. And Sam was like, "How did I not know about this guy?" Apparently, while Steve Rogers was still on ice, Isaiah was the only one that could really go toe to toe with the Winter Soldier. And they had, I guess, like a bout at some point overseas, and then he actually ended up ripping off like half of Bucky's like metal cyborg arm.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And it's so even there was even a scene while they were still in the house where he had like a box of something, some metal box, and just like angrily threw it at the wall, and it like went so fast it like stuck into it, almost like Captain America's shield. So like he's still got some moves even in his very elderly age. What do you guys think is kind of going on here?
Um.
It doesn't surprise me that they're. I mean, once Steve went away, it doesn't really surprise me that they tried to do it again
Yeah.
because that's what would happen in the real world if we had a super soldier serum. So
Yeah.
it's really kind of shocking that the MCU have only kind of now just started touching upon it. That there were more people out there than just Steve that got this.
Right. And so I mean, like they touched on it back in the Civil War when they talked about, not only the Winter Soldier, but how there was like I think 8 other ones like beside him that were like all kind of like I guess kept on ice, ready to go at any moment. And then that one
And I forgot, did Bucky get the super soldier serum?
Yeah. From
a
Hydra.
version of it,
Yeah.
not like the identical one that Steve got. I don't think that one has
'Cause
ever been
I
completely
forgot
replicated.
about that. And then when he started just chasing down cars on foot,
Yeah, that guy
Yeah.
was booking it.
oh, maybe he has that.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting to note about Isaiah, and I'm glad that they brought him into it, because apparently Will Smith was tapped to play Captain America as Isaiah when they were casting the Marvel movies, and he turned it down because he didn't think I guess the world was ready for it.
Oh, you mean like in place of Chris Evans playing
Yeah,
Captain America?
as instead of
Oh,
Steve
wow.
Rogers, it was supposed to be Isaiah.
Oh, wow.
And it was going to be Will Smith. Those are just Hollywood rumors, but I just remember reading about that when they were announcing the MCU back in the day.
So at one point in the conversation, while they're in Isaiah's house, the topic came up that Isaiah was in prison for over 30 years and experimented on. With racial injustice aside, what in the comics, like it was hinted at that he stole Captain America or one of Captain America's uniforms, and that was the reason they put into imprisoning him.
I have no
What
idea.
all do you think came from in the MCU from that experimentation process? Like, do you think that serum is what made like Bucky?
I think the serum that made Bucky was from Hydra. That was what the Winter Soldier was all about.
Yeah, they dropped him in there to stop the Winter Soldier. So Bucky was already the Winter Soldier
Yeah.
when it came in existence because they fought in.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Isaiah had the U.S. government's version 2.0 of the serum,
Right.
and Bucky had Hydra's version, which is what the Flag Smashers are using, I guess,
Yeah.
supposedly.
Yeah, and I guess in this next episode they're going back and meeting with the villain of Civil War. I can't remember the guy's name.
Zemo.
Yeah. To talk with him about, kind of how these Flag Smashers got their hands on the serum.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this episode did an amazing job of bringing in real world racial injustice. Even with the scene right before they went into Isaiah's house for the first time, where Falcon actually interacts with the young kid and corrects him when the kid refers to him as Black Falcon.
Yeah.
He says, like I'm just Falcon Kid, like not Black Falcon. So I think that they're doing a great job here, and I think they're doing it artfully and skillfully on screen. I hope to see more of it in the episodes ahead, at least in part. And so moving on to another part of the show, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier finally start to team up. The first episode kind of showed them apart and not really interacting. Falcon was, I guess, at one point said that like he had sent Bucky messages and Bucky was like never responding. And so like for the first time in however long, Bucky just kind of hops back up and is like, "Hey, I saw you gave the shield away. What the crap, man?" And so
I also forgot that like they know each other.
Yeah.
oh really?
Oh yeah, I forgot that they were like, oh yeah, like they were both Avengers, so like they know. I blanked. I was like, yeah, how are they gonna get these two together? And then he showed up, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess they do just know each other, don't they?
Yeah, so Bucky comes back and kind of confronts Sam on giving up the shield, and kind of what happened there and what the reasoning he had for it. And so I'm sure that, like, Tim was saying before, that'll probably be the capstone on this first season. Is probably my guess would be either Sam saying he's willing to consider the responsibility of taking the shield, or he's just going to take it. As viewers, I kind of really kind of like Tim was saying before, like they never really had necessarily like an on-screen like chemistry. Like they never were like paired up a lot, with the exception of being around Steve Rogers. And like Steve Rogers was really the only character that like brought them together. And so it kind of makes sense that now he's gone, there's kind of just discourse between them and they don't really get along that well.
Yeah.
In fact, I even remember back in I think it was one of Civil War, where they're like sitting in the back of like the old Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah. It's
Steve's like talking to the Peggy's niece.
Yeah, his niece.
Well,
before he makes out with his niece, and
anyway,
yeah, and they have that little like buddy moment in the back seat.
Yeah, they're like, "Can you move your seat?" And he's like, "No." So yeah, it's natural, I guess, that they would have this kind of like awkward on-screen chemistry since they never really like, I guess, fully got along. They only kind of like faked it because of Steve and because Steve, brought them together and wanted them to. But as Tim brought up before, there was that really awkward like couples therapy scene in
I don't know
episode 2.
what they were trying to do with this.
So I think they were just trying to go like typical Marvel humor on it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was
It
world
did
building
not
or
work.
really served a purpose. I think it was just to be humorous. But
yeah, I think it was just an attempt at quick humor between the two of them in a way to get contextually a way to get the therapist out of the picture.
I guess it didn't work for me. It didn't seem funny. It seemed pointless. It was very awkward.
I think that was
I
the
definitely
point.
think it was supposed to be awkward.
Yeah.
I will say at the end when they both kind of like lost their crap and like stood up and kind of stormed off. When like they're trying to get the therapist is trying to get them to like tell each other like what they're really thinking or whatever. And so when Bucky's finally like, if he was wrong, like you gave up the shield, and if Steve was wrong about you, you were wrong about me. I thought that was like the one takeaway from that scene.
Honestly, it was when this scene was happening where I was like, I don't know if I like this episode. This is weird.
The because it kind of, I guess, focuses in on why Bucky's so irritated that Sam gave up the shield as he did. But in of course Sam's defense, he didn't give it up for this guy to take it. He gave it up for it to be on display and in memoriam to Steve Rogers. But yeah, so the other last part I kind of wanted to touch on, and is really, we don't still know a lot about the Flag Smashers. We started to learn a bit more about them in this episode, and they of course want to restore the world back to how it was during the blip. So we know that there are some super soldiers among them. I don't know if it's just like those like 7 or 8 people or whatever that they showed on screen, or if there's more of them beyond that or what. But where do you guys think that this like story aspect of the story is headed? And do you think that they will be more of an antagonist or John Walker?
Both.
Yeah, I don't know. The Flag Smashers whole thing of like one world, one people doesn't make much sense to me. Why they say that? Because like you're trying to kill half of them, though.
Yeah.
Like no, no, that's not. That doesn't make sense. Again, like it's one of those things. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like
I mean, I see the
they wanna
logic.
go
I
world,
see like the thought.
but like if they really want one world, one people, they should be happy that all these people are back.
Well, I think what they're alluding to is that in the first episode, they mentioned that during the blip, there was no war, there was no border between nations. It was just a, one giant unified world because everyone was going through the same thing and it was pointless to fight over stuff. And so I guess what they're trying to nail down in their ideology is if we go back to that, it'll be peaceful again. And there won't be war and there won't be, stuff like that. They're just going about it. Again, it's the same argument people had when Thanos did it in the first place. Like, he snapped away half of existence, and that outside of the movies, like real people were debating whether or not he did anything wrong. So I think that's where their ideology is like, we want to do what he did because there was legitimate unification out of it.
Sure. But Cody said it's both in some regard. I mean, Flag Smashers might continue on in the MCU. I think John Walker is going to be done at the end of this miniseries. Personally,
I think he's either going to die the hero, or he's going to become the villain. Not to quote Batman. That is not where I was going for it. I saw Tim smiling and I was like, I heard it as I said it.
I didn't say anything.
Nope, I saw your face.
So when I was watching this with Ashley, she brought up a good point, and that this John Walker character, I don't know if this is what they were going for, but like he had strong resemblance to like the Homelander character from The Boys, or like this guy who's like, of course on the forefront, like seems like a nice guy, seems like a do-gooder, but is like evil as crap and wants to just do his own thing. So I highly expect he's going to go off the rails. I wouldn't be surprised with serum apparently just floating around in the world now, if he gets his hands on it, or if the government decides to give him some, and then that has ramifications to somehow whether he takes it forcefully and just takes it and puts it into himself, or if the government's like, hey, we need like super soldier Captain America, and gives it to him, and then there's like a horrible reaction and then something happens.
Yeah.
Because like Tim was saying before, when we had the realization that he wasn't a super soldier, like it doesn't necessarily make sense to have somebody going out and doing all these crazy things that is like could totally just like get shot at any moment and like, or get seriously injured and then he's just gone. So I mean, like if they're gonna send him out on all these missions where like all these other Avengers go out on, like he needs some sort of protection, either some sort of like hecka strong like Iron Man armor or some sort of serum that's gonna at least make him a little bit more invulnerable. But yeah, any last thoughts?
No, I'm just interested to see where they go.
Just gotta wait and see where they're going to go. I mean, I have strong opinions after this episode, but I'm still gonna obviously for these purposes and my own personal purposes continue watching the show. So
right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and do the main part of today's show, which is the 93rd Annual Academy Award nominations and what we think is going to win. We're going to run through each of the categories and decide who we think will win. Just like on the Metacritic predictions we did towards the beginning of the year, we will do a point system, and the winner gets a DoorDash of their choice. The point system is going to be much simpler than it was last time, since it's not based off of a rating system, and it's just, if somebody wins or they don't. If you get it correct, you get a point. If you don't, you get nothing. That's it. So we'll tally them up at the end. Whoever gets the most gets that DoorDash of their choice. And I think the Oscars are at the end of April.
25th
Yes.
of April.
25th.
April 25th. Cool.
Yeah. And if you want to play along with the home game, visit our website. I made ballots, which is essentially what we're doing right now. We're just going to fill out our own ballots.
Well,
we're
live
going to
for
fill
us.
out our ballots, and I'll post the filled out ballots onto our website once this episode airs, so you'll be able to see it. But if you want to make your own predictions, you can go to our website, and I made 2 printable PDFs, a full color version and a black and white version, in case you have a black and white printer. So yeah, check that out.
Yep, and so that's at skoentertainment.net. Feel free to check that out. So most of the years I have watched the Oscars, I at least recognize most of the nominations, and of course 2020 was just a weird year in general. So most of the films that were supposed to come out just didn't. But as looking through this list, I only knew like 3 or 4 titles, and I think we were all kind of under the same umbrella there.
I'm actually kind of glad we're still doing this way where like we kind of sort of maybe know little to nothing, because not to get into it too much, but Cody and I were in ye old movie house industry. And one of the things that like nobody ever talks about unless you're in it is that people that work at the movie houses, there's a certain group of them that tend to get super pretentious around Oscar season.
Mm-hmm.
It's very annoying. I'm talking about some people that I've been very close to that are really judgy if you don't know your Oscar picks and stuff like that, or have at least seen the best pictures. It's like you almost don't qualify as an associate at that point. And it's not just the movie houses that I have worked at, it's other ones that I've never been to that I have met people at that get like, just as I said, like it's so weird because like they just get like so pretentious on like how many picks they can get right. It's weird. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because it's weird. So I'm kind of glad that we're doing this blind almost, because like I'll be able to have more fun with it. Because before, when I pick things, I'd be like, "Are you sure you want to pick that?" Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen like 3 of these movies. I went through a list of like Oscar winners, and I think Best Picture wise, I think I've maybe seen 2 of the best that have won Best Pictures, and I'm pretty sure both of them I watched before they won the Academy Award. So, and one of them was Lord of the Rings. So, I don't know. It's just a little slight tangent there.
You're good. So we're gonna run through all the categories here in a little bit more of a humorous fashion than we usually would because of all that. And so we're just gonna hope for some dumb luck. All right, so apologies for any mispronunciations going forward, because I was looking through the list and there's a good chance that we're gonna get some of these names wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start us off in the category of best visual effects. So in this category, it's Love and Monsters, The Midnight Sky, the new Mulan, and the one and only Ivan in Tenet. What do you think?
Tenet.
Ooh.
Do you know anything about Tenet?
I know it has crazy visual effects.
I've seen it. It's good.
Oh, you have seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, I have not. I don't know anything about that movie.
It's really good. It's like this weird concept of like time travel, but in a weird way. It's more like you're not like getting in a time machine and then jumping back like to a specific day. You go through like this machine and then you're essentially going in reverse.
Interesting.
And so like people can see you, but you're traveling backwards. Like you're experiencing everything in reverse. It's a really trippy movie. I'm actually going to pick Love and Monsters because I think that in terms of visual effects, I think that it actually like um, utilize them as opposed to like I don't know, like CGI effects. Like it had more CGI effects. So that's why I'm going with that one.
Okay. Well, just to be different, I'm just gonna pick Mulan.
Mulan would have been my other choice, if I'm being real honest.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's good.
It's
Not
it's
as good
it's
as the
on my
original.
list.
All right. So, Cody, you good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go to best sound next. So that's Greyhound, Mank, News of the World, Soul, and Sound of Metal.
Okay, so against my better judgment, because I haven't seen Sound of Metal, but I watched the trailer and it looks really good. And Soul I saw, and Soul is Disney Pixar, so you figure
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna go to Soul because the whole movie is based around music and sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But against my better judgment, I'm going with Sound of Metal.
Okay.
Same, actually. Mainly, and this is the big brain moment because it has sound in the name. I wish I was making that up, but I'm not.
Okay. I actually have not seen Sound of Metal, but I have seen Soul, and I really enjoyed it and it had an amazing track. So I'm my pick's gonna go with Soul.
That's probably what's actually going to win, but I'm going with Sound of Metal.
All right.
All right, we're gonna do best short live action. We got Feeling Through, The Letter Room, The Present, Two Distant Strangers, and Wide Eye.
I'm going to just go with Two Distant Strangers because I don't know anything about this category.
Yeah, me neither. Uh, uh dude, I don't even know. I feel like I don't even know the last time I watched a live action short. I'm just gonna go with Wide Eye because I don't know, it sounds cool.
I'm
That's
gonna pick
that's,
Feeling
that's
Through because that made me laugh.
You're gonna go with Feeling Through.
Feeling Through.
All right, Feeling Through it is.
Yeah. So this is if you haven't caught on already, this is how this is gonna go.
Yep.
So if this does not appeal to you, you should probably stop.
It ain't gonna get much better than this, guys.
Uh, best short animated. So we have Burrow, Genius Loci.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. If Anything Happens, I Love You, Opera, and Yes People.
I'm going to go with Yas People.
Okay.
Yes, people. Let's see. I don't even. I'm gonna go with Burrow. Sounds cool. I know, like Tim was saying, like I know people that if they like our friends that
Yeah,
if they
they would
listen to
hate
this, they're gonna be so mad.
Yeah.
Gonna get some hate mail.
All right, Christian, what are you picking?
I'm gonna go with Anything Happens, I Love You.
Oh, I love you too, man. All right.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so next up is best production design. And so in this category we have The Father, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank. No, I was trying not to laugh and you made me do it.
I was
Okay.
just go Mank.
Mank, News of the World, and Tenet.
Tenet.
Tim.
Mank is black and white and looks like it's really produced well, so I'm gonna go with that.
All right, Tim's going with Mank. I have seen News of the World and Tenet. I think I'm gonna go with News of the World because it's a period piece and they did really well.
Mm-hmm. I have also seen News of the World, and that is also my pick.
It was an okay movie.
Yeah.
That's about where I'm
my
gonna leave it too. It was an
But,
okay movie.
It definitely struck me as a film that would win some awards. All right. Best original song. We have Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah. Hear My Voice from The Trial of the Chicago 7. Husavik from Eurovision Song Contest. EOC, in parentheses, scene. The Life Ahead, La Vida Davanti a Si, and Speak Now, One Night in Miami.
Well, I'm glad that you picked this week to do this one. I was looking at like Husavik. I don't know any of these things. I'm gonna go with Fight for You, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Okay.
All right. I'm just gonna go Eurovision because
What a ridiculous
Husavik.
movie.
it's ridiculous. So I'm just
Oh, I loved it though. It was so good. So I'm gonna go with "Hear My Voice" from the Trial of the Chicago 7. If you guys have not checked it out, it's a Netflix original.
The trailer looked really good. Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal cast, and it was done extremely well. I didn't really know much about that story until I watched the film, and yeah, it was very, very good. All right, so we're gonna do best original score. We have "Da Five Bloods," not the "Da Five Bloods" by Terence Blanchard, Mank, Trent Reznor, and Atticus Ross. Minari by Emile Mazzari. News of the World by James Newton Howard. And Soul by Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, and John Batiste.
Soul. Trent Reznor gets another Oscar.
They're actually gonna get it. They're actually nominated twice.
Yeah.
Trent Reznor? Yeah.
Yeah. Both Mank and Soul.
I think I'm actually gonna go News of the World.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Soul as well.
All right.
All right. Best makeup and hairstyling. We have Emma, Hillbilly Elegy, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, and Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. Although I want to go with Mank because I'm going to say the word Mank as many times as I can. But my real vote's for Pinocchio.
Well, I haven't seen any of these. I'm going with, you guessed it, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
I thought you were going to go with Hillbilly Elegy.
That's my pick. I'm going with Hillbilly Elegy. That was the one that got me chuckling. I really want to look up that movie now. The name sold me.
All right, we
All
can
right,
probably breeze through the next like 5.
Okay. Best international feature film. We have Another Round, Denmark, Better Days, Hong Kong, Collective, Romania, The Man Who Sold His Skin, Tunisia,
God.
and Keo Vidis, Ada, Bosnia, and
Yeah, sure.
Herzegovina.
Sure, yeah. Bless you.
Bless you. All right, Tim,
going
pick
with
a country.
The Man Who Sold His Skin.
The Man Who Sold His Skin. All right, all right. I am also going to go with that because why not?
I'm going to go with Collective from Romania.
All right.
All right. Best film editing. We have The Father from by Yorgos Lamprinos, Nomadland by Chloe Zhao, Promising Young Woman by Frederick Thorval, Sound of Metal, Mikkel E.G. Nielsen, and The Trial of the Chicago 7, Alan Baumgarten.
Nomadland.
Nomadland?
Yeah.
All right, all right, all right. I am going to pick the Netflix movie because I think it should win something. Trial of the Chicago 7.
Say which one's the Netflix one again?
Trial of Chicago 7.
By the way, Mank is also a Netflix film.
Is it?
Oh, cool.
Yes.
I might actually check it out then.
Yeah, I wasn't going to check it out before, but I am now.
Yeah, Trial of Chicago 7 is also my pick for best film editing.
Okay.
And Sound of Metal is Amazon Prime.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It makes sense that a lot of the nominations were for streaming films, since those were going to come out on streaming anyway.
Yeah.
Best documentary short. We have Colette, A concerto in a conversation. Do not split. Hunger Ward. A love song for Latasha.
Do not split.
Dude,
That seems like a winner.
I don't watch documentaries, so we're gonna go Hunger Ward.
That's my pick as well, and I do like documentaries, like hardcore. Like I will turn them on happily, at least in the background, almost all the time. And I don't know any of these, I don't think, but yeah, my pick's Hunger Ward. All right, best documentary feature. We have The Collective, Crip Camp, The Mole Agent, My Octopus Teacher, and Time.
Crip Camp.
Okay.
Crip Camp it is. All right. I'm just gonna go with My Octopus Teacher because that sounds ridiculous.
You can learn a lot from Octopus.
Have not seen any of these either, but I have seen advertisements for The Mole Agent, and it looked pretty good, so I'm gonna go with that one.
All right.
All right, best costume design. Emma by Alexander BM, Marraines Black Bottom, Anne Roth, Mank, Trish Somerville, Mulan, Bina Dagerler, Pinocchio, Massimo Cantini Perini.
Not sure what the hell you just said, bud, but all right, Tim.
Mulan, because I feel like it has to win something.
Actually, I was also gonna pick Mulan for that. So
yeah, I think costume design. It's got to lead. It's gonna be my pick as well. Best cinematography. We have Judas and the Black Messiah, Sean Bobbitt, Mank, Eric Messerschmidt,
Bop.
News of the World, Darius Walsky, Nobedland, Joshua James Richards, and The Trial of the Chicago Seven, Fadam Papa Michael.
Mank.
I feel like at this point you're just saying Mank so you can say Mank.
It's Gary Oldman in it.
I'm gonna go with News of the World.
Okay. Yep, I'm gonna go with Trial of the Chicago Seven again.
All right.
All right, and then we're gonna do best animated feature. This one's a tough one for me. So we have Onward, Over the Moon, A Shaun the Sheep Movie, Farmageddon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers.
Okay, so the real answer is going to be either Onward or Soul. It's just which one is it going to be?
I was gonna say that was my interpretation of
Yeah.
that, but
because like real talk, like I'm sure Shaun the Sheep was good, but I haven't even heard of Over the Moon or Wolfwalkers, but they're probably all right too if they're on this list. But like really, when it boils down to, it's either Onward or Soul. I'm gonna go with Onward.
Yeah, that's my pick. It's Onward.
I can definitely see Soul winning, but because I love Onward so much, I'm also gonna pick Onward.
It was so good.
I loved it.
All right.
All right, we're gonna do Best Supporting Actress. We have Maria Bakalova and Borat's subsequent movie film.
That was his
Glenn
daughter.
Close. Huh?
I think that was his daughter.
Oh yeah. Glenn Close, Hillbilly Elegy.
Glenn
Olivia
Close.
Colman, The Father. Amanda Seyfried, Mank, and Yu Jung Young and Minari.
Olivia Colman.
Do you know her?
I know her. She was in Broadchurch.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Maria Baklova because I want that movie to win something so bad.
That's also my pick. I love that it came out in a year where there wasn't many other options, so that it was able to get nominated. All right, so Best Actress. We have Viola Davis in Marraines Black Bottom, Andra Day, The United States v. Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby, Pieces of a Woman, Frances McDormand, Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan, Promising Young Woman.
Carey Mulligan was in Doctor Who, so we're gonna go with Carey Mulligan for my pick.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at. I haven't
I
seen any
have
of these movies.
no better logic, so I'm just gonna follow your lead. I'm gonna pick Carey Mulligan.
All right.
Best supporting actor: Sacha Baron Cohen, The Trial of Chicago 7; Daniel Kaluuya, Judas and the Black Messiah; Leslie Odom Jr., One Night in Miami; Paul Raci in Sound of Metal; Lakeith Stanfield and Judas and the Black Messiah.
I heart Leslie Odom Jr. because of Alexander, so I'm going to go. Or sorry, Hamilton. So I'm going to go with that.
I'm actually going to vote Sacha Baron Cohen because I think he is not for Borat reasons, but I think he is legitimately an underrated actor, and I think he's very versatile. So I'm
So
going
I
for
will
him.
say that this is the, I mean, so in this film, he does play a somewhat humorous role. Like that aspect of his, like, acting career does come out at times just because he plays jokes on the courtroom. But he played a very, very different side than I've ever seen him play in this film, and I was extremely impressed. So I'm also picking Sacha Baron Cohen for this, for The Trial of the Chicago 7.
All right.
Best actor, we have Riz Ahmed, Sound of Metal; Chadwick Boseman, Rainey's Black Bottom; Anthony Hopkins, The Father; Gary Oldman, Mank; and Stephen Ewan, Minari.
So, as much as I would like Stephen Wynn or Ewan to win because he was in The Walking Dead, um, there is one name on this list that I am almost 100% certain is going to get
Yep.
the Oscar, and he's probably good in this film, but it's kind of like Heath Ledger, or even when Leonardo DiCaprio won his Academy Award, it was for more than just the one movie he was in. This is the only pick I'm 100% confident is going to go to Chadwick Boseman.
Yep.
I concur as my pick as well.
I don't know what Cody picked.
No, it's the same one.
Okay.
Yeah. Chadwick all the way.
Best original screenplay, we have Judas and the Black Messiah, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of Chicago 7.
I mean, you keep saying The Trial of Chicago 7 is really good, so I'm just going to go with that.
Same. I haven't seen any of them, so
honestly, I might check it out because the trailer did look really good.
It is good. It is long from what I can remember, but it's very good. Again, yeah, me too. Trial of Chicago 7.
all right.
Best adapted screenplay, Borat subsequent movie film, The Father, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, and The White Tiger.
I'm gonna go with Borat.
Same.
I mean, probably against my better judgment, but I'm gonna go with Borat.
Going Borat.
That movie does not deserve to win anything, but I'm also going to pick it. But I'm also picking it because I really want to see them get up on stage and do an acceptance speech because I think it'll be great. All right, best director. Another Round, Thomas Vinterberg; Mank, David Fincher; Minari, La Isaac Chung; Nomadland, Chloe Zhao; and Promising Young Woman, Emerald Fennell.
Promising Young Woman.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Mank for no particular reason. I really just don't know.
Dude, we're gonna be so hated for people.
Oh yeah.
Stops. I apologize if you made it this far.
Zero apologies.
Yeah, we gave you several disclaimers that you should have bounced a long time ago. I'm going to do another round. Thomas Vinterberg.
All right.
The big one.
Here's the big one.
The big finale. Best Picture. So the nominees are The Father, Sony Pictures Classics; Judas and the Black Messiah, Warner Bros.; Mank, Netflix; Minari, A24; Nomadland, Searchlight; Promising Young Woman, Focus Features; Sound of Metal, Amazon Studio; and The Trial of the Chicago 7, Netflix. Tim?
So I watched all the trailers for all those ones to do some sort of research. And the only one that I wasn't really on board with watching would be Mank. I don't know, it just wasn't kind of my style. But all these other ones looked really good, and not having seen any of them, it's really hard to pick. My heart kind of wants Minari to win based off all the trailers I watched, but Sound of Metal also looked really good. And so did Promising Young Woman. But I'm gonna go with Judas and the Black Messiah.
All right.
So, I've only seen a couple of trailers. I didn't do my homework. It's between Sound of Metal and Trial of Chicago 7 for me. But I think I'm going to go with Trial of Chicago 7. I think it's going to make the most impact. That's just me.
I'm also going to pick the Trial of Chicago 7 just for the only reason of it's the only film on this list that I've watched. So I don't feel like I can judgingly make an actual good call on any other movie. And I think that wraps it up.
Yeah, that's everything.
All right. Well, as Cody mentioned before, if you guys want to follow along, see which one of us wins, or see if you can do much better, because I'm sure you can.
You can. There's no question.
Those ballots are now live on our website at skoentertainment.com. Please feel free to join us and see if you can beat us out.
Which you probably will.
Yeah. So next time on some kind of podcast, Tim will once again be your host on episode 13. We're going to tentatively call it Monster Mash, where we'll be talking about first impressions of Monster Hunter Rise, as well as our overall opinions of the new Godzilla vs. Kong movie releasing on HBO Max and in theaters this Wednesday, March 31st. And well, is it already in theaters?
What?
No, it releases simultaneously.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Anyways, that wraps up this week's episode of Some Kind of Podcast. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment below. If you would like to reach out to us, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at SKO Entertainers, or visit our website at www.skoentertainment.net for more information. Also check out our Twitch channel, Some Kind of Entertainment, where we play games occasionally. And finally, don't forget to join us next week, because even on the best of days, we all need some kind of entertainment. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
See ya.